Hello, it's Les with Judson Vacuum. I got a new unit here I want to introduce. It's called the DEUCE. And so what the difference here is I just want to tell you, is if you're wanting to run dual one, this is your system for dual one. And it's got some redundancy backups that makes it attractive, you know. So I'm just going to go over what we got here. This is basically our machine called the C-4. You know, we make the TNT, and then we make the C-4. C-4 is basically the dual wand machine. And what you do, you run 2 standard flow wands on one heater. You know, like 6 flow on each wand. And that'll be your dual wand unit. And it gets you, you know, 230 degrees on 2 wand standard flow wands. So the big thing is that what Judson does to get better drying time is we want to get the optimum amount of temperature on the carpet, but not too much temperature. In other words, there's a limit to too much temperature. If you got too much temperature on the wand, it'll fill the room up with steam. It'll be like a steam bath. So there's a limit. You can have too much heat. You can have too much vacuum. The wand will lock down, and even less CFM will go to the truck mount. You can have too much vacuum. You can have too much pressure. You can overwet the carpet. So it's not all just get the biggest, the most, more. And so when Judson's designing systems, we're always designing the system for the best interest of the carpet cleaner. What's the best for him? If he breaks down, what's the replacement cost? How common is the part? Like our blowers, for instance, on this machine, we use a 4L, and we can also put a 5.6 on there. But the reason we stay with 4L is that it's got more performance. It's more common. So I just want to go over some blower performances. At 14 inches of mercury, it's minimal. It's not much, but a 5.6 is $4.95. The 4L, which is what's on this machine, is $4.95 at 14 inches of mercury, and a 5.6 is $4.93. So it's a little bit less, but it's not much. So that's why we stay with the 4L. It's a common blower. You can get them on eBay used, you know. So a lot of little things we do for reasons. That engine is a 37 horsepower Kohler. It burns 1.8 gallons an hour. Okay, each one of these heaters under commercial carpet cleaning conditions burns 1/2 gallon of propane per hour. So that would be 2 heaters in the machine. You're running at 2.8. You're still under 3 gallons an hour. That's outstanding for the performance I'm getting ready to tell you, because I don't know of a system that's available that will do this. Even the largest direct drives made has a deplenished water tank that once it deplenishes, it's going to drop some temperature with the tools I'm getting ready to talk about. And what I'm going to talk about is high flow. We're big about high flow. Not that it's flushing more water through the carpet. That's a plus, but it gets the heat to the wand. You remember I had talked about maximum drying times. So you only got so much vacuum you can pull. Think about the wand down on the carpet's wet, it creates a seal. There's only so much CFM can get through the wand, and it's usually around 200, 250 CFM, depending on a low loop or a deep nap or something like that. And that's your limit on CFM. So if you produce a whole lot more CFM than that, it's going through the relief valve. So this machine produces more CFM than 2 wands can use on the carpet, about 30% more CFM than 2 wands can use. So more vacuum's not going to do nothing to get the carpets drier. So what we do on commercial carpet cleaning, when we need the heat, we need heat then, we go high flow, which will be an 8 to a 10 flow wand. Then when the temperature is leaving the truck mount, is 240 degrees, and we only get about a 10 to 15 degree drop, because with a high flow wand, the water travels faster from the truck mount 400 feet to the wand, where a standard flow wand, like a 6 flow, is traveling slower, and it loses about 60 degrees through the skin of the hose, and you're getting less temperature at the wand. And that's how we optimize our drying time, is that we don't want 240 coming out the jet, but what we want is it to be jet temperature right around 210, maybe 220, something in between there coming out the jet. You know, we don't want to just have a big cloud of steam that would fill the room up with moisture, and then you wouldn't have good drying time. So there's a minimum right there you're trying to get to. Okay, so yeah, that's what's so neat about high flow. Now with the heat exchange systems and most everything else, if you put two 10 flow wands and running 20 flow, it's not going to maintain temperature. It's not going to do it unless you're triggering on and off. Well, if I'm having to release that trigger and stop that 400 feet of water just so a temperature gauge will climb, it's lost a lot of temperature then because it's just sitting there not moving. You know, yeah, you can trigger on and off to get the temperature up, but what happens at the wand, it's even cooler because you've stopped that water while you're dry vacuuming, and then you pull the trigger, and yeah, the gauge might show more temperature, but you've lost even more because you had to release the trigger to dry vacuum to get it to catch up. So that's something else you need to be aware of. With this system, you can hammer on those triggers, man. You're on that trigger, and right at the end of the backstop, you off on. So I teach trigger on, trigger back, and just right before you stop, release and back on to keep it from leaving a watermark. And so basically the trigger's on all the time, you know. And that's what you got to do. You got a 60, 70, 80,000 square foot building, you got to go. You know, you got to have a man dragging the wand out of the hose out of the way, a guy on the wand, a guy pre-spraying. You know, you can hook up a hydroforce sprayer and everybody stop and pre-spray. I have power. I use electric sprayers, and so you got 3 men per wand. And like I say, then they'll go about 45 minutes and they'll rotate. The guy dragging the hose will grab the wand. This guy will drop back. He'll do the pre-spraying. And so he gets to take a break. It's real neat how I teach commercial carpet cleaning. High production, high volume carpet cleaning, but you got to have that maintained temperature. Now this will go, that temperature sustained on high flow will maintain that 230, 240 on a high flow until those tanks run out of propane down here. So those tanks hold 12 gallons of propane. At a half gallon an hour under commercial carpet cleaning conditions, that is going to be 24 hours of cleaning, 20 to 24. So you're not really going to have a job that you're sitting here pushing the wand for 24 hours straight per job, but that's your limit on this. Now, if you were going to mount this in a van with these twin tanks, it'd be a little tight in the van, so obviously this is kind of made for a large van, maybe a ProMaster or something a little larger, or a box truck or something. But if it was a long-based regular van, we could still put it in there. It'd be tight, but you know, the heaters would be kind of at the side door in an L shape, so it wouldn't take up as much as you think. But it really, if you're going to have something big commercial job, you got to carry a bunch of hose anyway. So you got to have a trailer, box truck, or maybe, like I say, a large ProMaster, the large wheelbase ones, you know. So I want to touch on that. The C-4 has a heavy gauge 150 gallon recovery tank. It's very thick stainless steel. It's at least 3, 4, or 5 times thicker than any of my competitors' recovery tanks. There is units out there that's stainless, but they're thin. So basically, like our dash is like 14 gauge, you know, and that's still thicker than I've seen other recovery tanks. But actually, if you ever see a Judson, we have a gusset right here that holds the dash. That's actually a piece of this recovery tank, so you can put your fingers on it and feel how thick this really is. And that's how we offer such a good warranty on our recovery tanks. When you buy a Judson truck mount from me, I have a 25,000 year corrosion resistant warranty on these recovery tanks. And so another thing I want to talk about is accessibility in repairing the machine yourself. So you remember, we designed the machine for the carpet cleaner's best interest. So, you know, it's like if we were going to own the thing, we want to make it where we can work on it. So if you'll come right here and kind of show the pump, come in here, maybe I'll switch here with you. The pump's right there. This regulator is kind of neat. We used to have it mounted on the dash, but we had to have a special dash mounted regulator. So what we like is if you ever have a regulator failure, you can put any pressure washer regulator on there if you, regardless, at Home Depot or wherever, it just mounts in one spot. But you got to start off at low, you know, it might be a 3,000 pounds until you set the limit in here. But when you break down with a Judson, that's what's so cool about a Judson. When you break down with a Judson, it's a pleasant experience most of the time. In other words, the chances of me and you fixing this machine over the phone, and you running the Lowe's and getting a part or getting belts at the auto parts, which most people don't have their direct drive couplings and all that, but you can get belts from my machine at the auto parts. A lot of stuff from Lowe's, thermocouple for the heater right here. You can get this from Lowe's, you can get that line from Lowe's, you can get all kind of stuff. You can get the vacuum relief valves right there from Home Depot and Lowe's. You won't believe all the stuff that's local, easy to get to on this machine. Like I say, when you break down with a Judson, man, that is what's so cool. When you break down the chances, the percentage of it being repaired and getting it back going right then is it's way higher than anybody else. First of all, Judsons have only had 5 wires since 1969. I mean, that's been one of our strong talking points that we've said about our truck mounts since 1969. It's only got 5 wires, you know. So if you see someone that's claiming they got a machine with only 5 wires, they're kind of, you know, following our lead. And they're claiming common parts. That's, you know, you don't have to buy a copy of a Judson. We're still in business, man. And you can buy the original deal. See, what do they call? What is it? Flatteries, imitations, the highest form of flattery or something. But yeah, we buy the real thing, you know. And actually, it's 150 gallon recovery. We can put a pump out on it, and it's endless. Then I'm gonna try to hurry up. Hold on. Real basic here. Oh, our chemical injection, really cool. We inject our chemical through the pump on purpose, and the regulator. Now you don't run acid rinses. You're supposed to run a water softener. That acid rinse is a deal where manufacturers are making high pH pre-sprays to stay in business because the cost of the raw material is so high and it's leaving caustic residue. They want you to neutralize it with acid. You don't have to. Judson makes extremely high performance, low pH, American made raw materials, the correct pH for carpet cleaning. Basically, if a chemical is over 9.8, it's not a carpet cleaning pre-spray, it's a hard floor cleaner, and use it for a hard floor. But really, to be truthful, you should not put anything over 9.8, and that's why we specialize in low pH. That's why they don't want you to have over 10 on wool or 5th generations. It's not that you sprayed it down for 15 minutes while it's welling and then you extract it and then it's okay. It's the fact that they know that caustic soda won't come out and it continues to destroy the fiber 24/7 anytime it's over 10. And so, yeah, I want to make a point of that Judson makes high performance, low pH chemicals that rinses out. So that way it allows you to run correct extraction chemicals, which is a water softener, breaks down the surface tension. So anyway, a 2-stroke engine. You mix 2-stroke, gas, it lubricates the piston. Same deal. Our extraction water softener lubricates the pump seals, and it's cold water, okay? And it's lubricated. And the regulator is also lubricated. Now, Judson offers, if you buy a machine from me, I offer, this is my warranty, 10-year regulator warranty, 10-year pump seal warranty. That's what I offer when you buy one from me. And what was interesting, I had a guy call me in Utah. He bought 2 TNTs. He said, Les, I got a pump that's leaking. I called my brother in Florida. I said, what do we do? We got a guy down there. And so my brother called Cat, and it had been 18 years since we put a warranty claim in, which was unbelievable. 18 years since we've had an issue. And that's why, because it pumps cold water and we lubricate it. So our chemical injection system is so simple that there's nothing there to break. There's no injection pump. It's so reliable. It does inject continuously, but if you laid the one down for an hour, it would build up a little stronger, but a water softener, it doesn't make any difference. So it's not been an issue. It's the way we've always done it, and it's reliable, it's simple, it's something that you can call me. If you got a machine with one of those injection heads, just call me and I'll tell you how to go get some parts and a water valve from Lowe's and replumb through your flow meter and get your machine doing like this, and you'll have a reliable chemical injection system. It's lubricating your pump, it'll be good for it. Let's walk over here for a minute. I want to show you this side. There's the blower. There's the 4L. One thing new that we're doing is we're putting the water transfer pump on the machines now. See that? That's nice. Where you got your water well. So now everything's mounted on top of the recovery tank. And that is so easy to work on this thing because you're not having to reach. Man, it's so nice to have to work on this machine because everything's sitting up in the air. I tell people it's like all the parts are sitting on a workbench. It's really nice to work on this machine. But yeah, so there's the transfer pump. This tank here, I'm going to hurry up. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. This is really cool. Sometimes propane's a hassle to buy. You can now have your own bottle. This will fill your tank on the van off pressure differential. We have lots of carpet cleaners that now their local companies are giving them these tanks if they'll just buy the propane from. Joey Johnston is in Florida. He just had propane company bring him a bottle. He's been filling his own tanks. A lot of people do this now. It's nice because you don't call them. They just automatically top this off every month. They send you a bill. So you don't even have to go to the gas station anymore. And so that's how sometimes you might have to go a long ways to get propane. It might be a hassle. You might have to drive a long ways. So that's one of the things we've come up with to address that issue. And it's really nice and convenient where you just fill your own bottles, So let me think about what else before I stop. We went over the blower, the differences, why we use certain components. If you're looking for a truck mount and you look at the cost of building this machine, in other words, you're shopping the market. Don't look at the machine, look at the parts. And so even though somebody might have a bigger blower or a little bit bigger engine or whatever, yes, it did cost a little bit more. Their recovery tanks aren't even close to this because these tanks cost over $4,000. And so aluminum tank is about half that. You got a thin stainless steel, which is about half that. So when you look at that, if you look at the price of the components and take in consideration Judson's cost of building these tanks, because the bracing inside, the subwalls, the bracing is just as much stainless, just about as what the outside tank is. So that it's a very heavy. There's a lot of stainless here, and there's a lot you can't see inside the recovery tank. One thing here, Jack. Let me do this. Okay, you dump the tank and it won't restart. Where's one of those flashlights? Don't worry about it. Look right here. Just come here. That's fine. Right here is the float switch. You can't see it. Just stick it in there. You can't see it. There it is. You see what that is? That's a boat bilge pump. So guess what? You can go to Walmart and get that. So if your switch messes up, you can go get a boat bilge pump from Walmart, and it's tied into the solenoid valve, so it's low amp. We're not running a lot of voltage through it, so it'll last. So I thought I'd show you how neat that is to get to that shut-off switch and what it is. Something you can get at Walmart. Yeah, Judson don't make much money after the sale, because everybody's buying the replacement parts local. Where my competitors, that's their main way of making their money. They'll say a truck mount costs because they know it's going to take X amount of money to keep it running. And a lot of times they're buying special parts you can't find local on purpose. and belts that just won't work. One manufacturer had a belt that was a foreign belt, a certain size, and there was no way to put nothing on there because they limited the slot distance on the pump, the distance, and where nothing. They had some stops. I took them off and made the pump slide further, and now we can put 4 or 5 different belts on it. So little things like that people are doing. And like I say, once you buy a Judson, you got me, you got somebody that's really concerned about getting that machine back in business that day and to finish that job, not, hey, I'll send you some parts and me make some money. That's the difference here. And so, yeah, it's a good relationship I have with my customers, and all my customers are happy. And these machines are the most reliable truck mounts in the whole world. We've been building them since 1969. We're the inventor of the truck mount. Here's the blower right here on the world's first truck mount. It was made for Monsanto to clean football fields. The one was 4 foot wide. And the thing had, I don't know, the V8 engine, the 350 Chevrolet, it was a PTO, did nothing but turn this chain, had a chain going down to the PTO on the vehicle. So the vehicle engine did nothing but turn this. It had a recovery tank with a pump out, and had a pressure pump system with a high pressure propane heating system. It had, if you ever go to JudsonTruckMounts.com, hit history, and you can see the patents, how neat it is, how wide that, the one that went with this truck mount, you drove it like a car. It was so cool. You got to look at the patent. It's really neat. Now we've opened up real fast a little museum here, and that's the blower from the first truck mount. But look here what I got. Right here's the first zipper. Eric sent me this, and we're going to have all this display up here. Is going to be Inventor Showcase. See this up here? It's got track lighting and stuff. Everybody that's got an invention, I'm going to debut them and highlight them. And so we got the very first zipper. We're just working on the building now, but this is really cool. Like I say, my dad's patent was issued in '75. This is a Gene Bates Big Red, the world's second patented truck mount, which was a heat exchanger. And it was issued in '78, so 3 years after my dad's patent. And this thing here has a diesel engine. The water runs through the block, which is unbelievable. You know, actually, that's how it heats it. This thing here is immaculate. It's all original. Go around and just kind of show around it a little bit. It had a big blower. I think that's the 5.6 we were talking about, you know, comparing on the other machine. That's called a hydrocell pump. These will pump hot water. They'll pump super hot water, but they're a diaphragm pump, but they won't go they only go up to about 500 psi, but they've been around a long time, hydrocell. And there's the engine. It's a Perkins marine diesel engine. When I bought this machine, we fired it up. It had been sitting for 15 or 20 years, and we put some fuel in it and hit the starter, and it started up and purred like a kitten. But yeah, so here in the museum, the Truck Mount Museum, it's not just the Judson Museum. You'll see we got lots of other units, but we're going to have a lot of everybody's first truck mount here. This is not only does my dad have the patent for the world's first truck mount he built for Monsanto, the inventors of AstroTurf, to clean football fields, of which they leased that unit and went out and cleaned all the football fields they installed, including the Astrodome. He's the inventor of the wand, and here are 2 of the original wands. Right here, this was clear. The water would spiral up that handle. It was really cool, but it didn't take much to bust them. Back then, the original wands didn't have lips, so you had to pick them up and set them down. They did the wand valve. It was just a on, stay on, flip off. On, stay on, flip off. That was your wand valve. And so, yeah, I was lucky to find these 2 original wands here. The clear one, then we had the aluminum. This is all aluminum. It's lightweight. He's got that dipped rubber right there. Look how nice that is. It's really cool. Yeah, real nice. Aluminum with a stainless head. And there's a story behind this old crazy thing. I might as well tell you real fast. A guy actually brought this in to be repaired, and he said it just had a wand valve leak, and that's all it needed. And he had broke this, and he put a piece of hose, and it was flopping, So he braced it with this so it wouldn't, but he brought in and said there was the only thing wrong with it, he just needed, he needed a valve. Well, I had to have this, so I traded this guy a regular one to have it. It's pretty amazing that he actually was bringing that in somebody's house and to clean their carpets. And anyway, it's interesting. It's a conversation piece. Anyway, here's the world's first drag wand. Back in the early days, we didn't have a lot of negative pressure. We didn't have a lot of vacuum. You would create your seal with weight. This is full of lead. It's real heavy, and that's how it would create the seal. That's how we used to do it. World's first fully automatic portable right here. It's chemical injection, pump out, water in, fully automatic right here. And there's the patent for it. And he had a bunch of other patents too, you know. So anyway, I don't want to make it too long. It's getting too long. I just want to talk about the C-4. And I appreciate you sticking with me to the end. I don't know how long this is, but I had a lot of stuff I wanted to say. Anyway, if you're ever interested in a truck mount, if you're getting ready to spend a lot of money to repair your existing truck mount, you know, the repair bill is going to be real high, call me. I bet you we can figure out something where it's not this bad. We can improve the design where it's not as complicated, where you can actually work on it yourself. All my re-engineering, we did a unit for Dan Markley 5 years ago. The guy, he had paid $45,000 for his truck mount. The company went out of business and they didn't leave him any phone numbers. He had nobody to contact. You know, if you pay $45,000 to me for a truck mount and I go out of business, now I might be in a mental hospital and I might be in prison, but I'll talk to you and you'll be able to get in touch with me, I promise you. Anyway, Dan, you know, they went out of business. He didn't know what to do, so we re-engineered his truck mount. I talked to him the other day. It's been over 6 years, and he is so happy. You got to call Dan Markley if you're interested in me re-engineering, and you'll see that he is so happy. He's not had one problem, and it's running half throttle. It's got saving gas. It's real quiet. It's instantaneous heat. He's running a number 4 heater now. I've stripped everything off of it to a bare engine pump and blower. And he's very happy with it. And he was in bad shape because he had, you know, mortgaged his house to get the $45,000 for the truck mount only. Plus the van was extra. So, yeah, a lot of people's in that situation. You got a good pump motor and blower. Your performance isn't what you want. It's costing a lot to repair it. It's a complicated machine you can't figure out anyway. Man, we can, as long as you got those good components, we can turn it into something worth having. So. Okay, that's it on this one. So I had the machine, we're shifting it out and in the morning. So we're trying to get the year end up and Christmas over. We had a big rush this year. We had a bunch of machines go to Texas on account of the flood. So we had emergency truck mount purchases, and we've been really behind trying to get caught up because we got flooded with the Texas purchases on account of the hurricane down there. And so we're getting all caught up. By the first of the year, we'll be all caught right back up, ready to go. So we'll see you have a good Christmas and good New Year's. And next year, give me a call. Maybe we can make some more money for you that you normally can't make what you're doing now, so we can see. All right, see ya. Thanks.